Are Manchester United not about to get one, but two deals done before the transfer window opens, with United ready to trigger the release clause of Matheus Cunha and Liam Delap? There's also a twist in the Osimhen situation, and could Højlund really be used as part of that deal? We've got updates on Joshua Zirkzee, Mastantuono, Ederson, and the quiet leadership role of Harry Maguire, as we run through all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news to keep you up to date with everything. My name's Jamie. Smash a like on the video and let's get straight into it. So, kick off. Honestly, it genuinely feels like the transfer window is open with the amount of noise going on regarding transfers. And we're not just talking noise from lesser kind of credible out like for Chahez and, Team Talk and places like that. No disrespect or anything. We're talking updates from, all the heavy hitters. Romano, Laurie Whitwell, David Ornstein's piped up with a couple of updates today, which are really interesting. So let's run through all of the latest. So let's kick off with Matheus Cunha, who is the talk of the town at the moment. He seems to be the deal that is, gone from 0 to 100 very, very quickly in all of the kind of main, like I said, all the big hitters, kind of getting involved in the situation. So Sky Cave said the following: Matheus Cunha sees Manchester United as one of the biggest clubs in the world, and their current league position would not put him off any potential move to Old Trafford. One source says Cunha loves United. Now, what he was saying in the kind of interview was that there are still other teams interested in Matheus Cunha. So there's a couple of Premier League teams and interest from the Saudi Pro League. But he said from what he's been told by a few sources is that Cunha wants to come to United, and that one source told him that he loves United as well. Obviously, we've had all the news recently around, personal terms and positive talks from Romano and Laurie Whitwell and stuff regarding Matheus Cunha, and the fact that, it has been kind of documented a few times that he's had done interviews where he said he likes United, and rumours that he's a fan and stuff as well. So yeah, that's another kind of positive step for me towards Matheus Cunha. Now, Chris Wheeler said that Matheus Cunha to Manchester United is very close. Now, Chris Wheeler's, again, a good kind of source regarding United transfer news recently. David Ornstein, though, who is the most credible journalist around, in my opinion, said that the indications are that Matheus Cunha wants to join Manchester United and favours a move to the club. So now we've got the kind of, the ultimate kind of source, I think, in David Ornstein, confirming as well the stories that United, that Matheus Cunha favours a move to United as well, is a really, really positive kind of step, in the right direction for those of you who want Matheus Cunha. Obviously, there might be some of you out there that don't like the idea of the deal. Personally, I like this. I like the idea. I can't remember the last time we signed an inform Premier League player that's averaging 20 goals in 2 seasons for a team that's kind of, mid-table, kind of lower half of the division, that's ready to take that kind of step up. I think the last Premier League player we signed was Mason Mount, wasn't it? Don't get me started on that one. I know what you're going to say in the comments, what a mistake that was, injuries and all that. But obviously when we signed Mason Mount, we didn't know he wasn't going to hardly kick a ball for 2 years. But Matheus Cunha, I like the idea. I'm kind of fully behind this sort of idea. Premier League proven, good age, good experience, is a goal scorer, and is way better than what we've got in the team at the moment as well. So it is a massive improvement in the team, in my opinion. So, but yeah, give us your thoughts and opinions on that in the comments. Now, Chris Wheeler also said, though, that Manchester United intend to trigger the release clauses of £62.5 million for Matheus Cunha and £30 million for Delap to sign both players once the transfer window opens on June the 1st. United want to wrap up both deals as quickly as possible. Now, who is this club? If they're going to be in a position where they want to get both deals done as soon as the transfer window opens, I don't care where we're getting the money from or how we're kind of doing it. Not my job to understand United's books and finances and stuff. If they've got the funds available to do that without breaking PSR rules, then fair play to however they've kind of manipulated that, and whether it is just media bollocks around how skint we are and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Whether it is all the kind of sackings and the cutbacks, whether it's, the loans with the reduced salary, whether there's player sales involved in any of this as well. But the fact is that if Chris Wheeler's and Nath So, who are good sources, coming out saying that they want to try to get both deals done as soon as the transfer window opens, is a massive positive for me. Just the fact that we're looking to do early deals, so we're not hanging around in late August, scrambling around for deals and still negotiating for players, is a kind of as a sign to me that Amorim said in a press conference, has said he's always said that he's in a rush. He wants to get things done as soon as possible. The reports the other day were that the club are telling him to kind of calm down and stuff. Do you know what I mean? But the fact that if they want to get these deals done as soon as possible, again, is a massive positive for me personally. If we can kind of pull them off. Been confirmed as well by David Ornstein. So the suggestion is that Manchester United want to compete the deals to sign Matheus Cunha and Liam Delap early in the window, even before any sales have been made. Now, that's really interesting. Again, don't know how we're going to finance it, but if Ornstein's saying that we're suggesting we're going to get it done without the need for any player sales, God knows, God only knows what's kind of happening there. But it's not our job to know that. I'm not Manchester United's financial expert, so I don't really care how they've managed to kind of do that. Reality is, if they do that, then that would be insane for me. I know there'd be question marks around Delap. I know some of you are not necessarily overly keen on Liam Delap, but we'll go for his kind of news in a second. But the fact I think both, like if you get Delap, the concern for me with Delap was that he's still a young, up-and-coming player who has not played that many professional games. I did a comparison before with the amount of kind of games he's played to the amount of games that Højlund's played when we signed him, and there is a comparison to be kind of made there as well. But if you get somebody, the problem Højlund's had, I think, is that he's had to kind of do it all on his own, and there's no experienced players around him to kind of shoulder that burden on him. And I think it's massively kind of damaged him in terms of his confidence, his ability, his kind of, like everything. Whereas if you've got Cunha and then you go and get Delap, both are Premier League proven, although Liam Delap's only really had one season in the Premier League, but he's played in the Championship and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So he has played like English football. And obviously Jason Wilcox will know him from his time at Man City's academy as well. I'm not against that. I'm not against it. Would it be my preferred striker option? No. I'd much rather be going for like a Gyökeres or an Osimhen, but finances might dictate that we can't. And if we've only got the budget to do Delap and Cunha, and they want to get it done as soon as possible, so we're not scraping around at the end of the transfer window, or maybe they want to beat other teams to him as well, so they might want to kind of do these deals early so that they can actually sign them, and we'll go through the Delap news in a second. Then I wouldn't be dead against it. Would it be my preferred options? No, but it's still, in my opinion, a massive improvement on what we've got. Liam Delap's got 12 Premier League goals compared to Højlund that's got 3 this season. Like, I think Delap's got more goals, Premier League goals, than Zirkzee, Højlund and Garnacho combined. So it is an upgrade. It's just, is it a significant upgrade? We'll have to wait and see if the deal goes through. Chris Wheeler also said, though, on Delap, that Liam Delap is Manchester United's #1 target, but there is still obstacles to signing him despite his price dropping to £30 million once Ipswich relegation is confirmed. United face fierce competition, and there are other fees connected to the deal that could push the figure higher. Obviously, agent fees, wages, salaries. There was a story the other day actually saying that, yes, it's a £30 million release clause, but there might be a bit of a bidding war with other teams as well. Obviously, we do know that there's interest. I think it was all barring Arsenal, wasn't it, in the report recently that was saying literally every team in the Premier League are looking for Liam Delap, apart from Arsenal, which obviously does throw a bit of a spanner in the works as well. The main one that we seem to be competing with, though, is Chelsea. I do worry when we're in for transfers with Chelsea personally, because we always seem to lose out on those sort of deals. But yeah, Chris Wheeler saying that Liam Delap is Manchester United's #1 striker target. David Ornstein also said that Manchester United's striker target is Liam Delap. So again, 2 very good kind of sources or journalists suggesting that Liam Delap is the #1 target. I think that's always been the case. And again, we'll go through some Osimhen news in a second. I think Osimhen is I think we're looking at Osimhen. I still think we're in for Osimhen. I don't know whether we're quite as, whether we're looking at Osimhen as an alternative to Liam Delap, or if we're looking at Osimhen for like a Champions League type budget, or just to kind of put the feels out there to say, well, actually, is that possible? Because if Delap goes to Chelsea, we don't want to be scrambling around, look like caught with our pants down, basically, not knowing which alternative striker we're kind of going down. But yeah, no, Ornstein confirming Delap #1 target. Ben Jacobs said that Liam Delap is going to wait until the end of the season to see who has European or Champions League football before deciding his next club. Manchester United and Chelsea are the leading contenders, so it is believed to be a two-horse race between us and Chelsea for Liam Delap, although there are interest from other Premier League clubs that can't be kind of ruled out. But yeah, all signs are pointing towards United want to get these deals done early, of Ornstein and Chris Wheeler, and all these kind of people are suggesting that the Delap's #1. Cunha wants to join. That would be insane in me. Like, I'd be happy with that. I'd be happy with Delap and Cunha. Would I be as happy with? Like, I'd be happier with Osimhen and Cunha, being honest, but, that might depend on Champions League football. That might depend on player sales. And if you want to get the deal done early, there's a lot of kind of moving parts still as well. This is obviously going off of the reports at the moment. But like I said earlier, it's really interesting because it feels like the transfer window's open, and it's not, because all the big hitters are coming out saying similar things. Laurie Whitwell, Fabrizio Romano, David Ornstein, Chris Wheeler, Rob Dawson, Sky Cave, Melissa Reddy, like all of these sort of people are the ones that have got normally the most credibility behind them, and are all coming out saying very similar things as well. So there's clearly some kind of truth in the stories, because it's not like, not like gossip. It's not like the Sun and the Star and these sort of places putting out the stories. This is kind of all the big hitters getting involved as well, and that's why I feel it's insane at the moment, the amount of news and transfer news that's going around. And we've still got 6 weeks before the transfer window opens, so strap yourself in. It's going to be a busy time, I think. Now let's move on to Osimhen. So Chris Wheeler, again, with Nath Soat in his piece, said that Victor Osimhen is an option for United, and the club could persuade to let Rasmus Højlund return to Italy as part of the deal. So again, a lot of moving parts, maybe, or more moving parts, I would say, in the Osimhen deal. Chris Wheeler suggesting that maybe if we did go down the Osimhen route, then maybe there would be some kind of deal involving Rasmus Højlund, which is interesting. The Matheus, though, on Osimhen said that Victor Osimhen is really highly admired by Manchester United as potentially the best striker available. United want to know the nature of the deal that could be done. It is conditional. The club will want to get better fee and wages, and it still may require a major departure or Champions League qualification. So the Matheus was effectively saying, look, there is interest in Osimhen. He's admired. He's seen as the best option available, but financially, is it the right kind of package? It might involve, a better fee. So again, someone like a Højlund swap or something like that, for example, or to get the price, and wages would be an issue. That's one of the kind of stumbling blocks with the Osimhen deal. Not that he's not worth the wages, but it's, will United want to pay those sort of wages? He did say, though, as well, that the Saudi have the money to pay his full wages, which is the more likely outcome. But if he wants to stay in Europe, then United have a good chance to kind of sign him. So again, that is one that might be dependent on Champions League. But it's an odd situation, isn't it, really, when you think about it? I think Matheus Cunha, reading between the lines, right? I think Matheus Cunha is one that's very likely at the moment, going off reports. Obviously, you can never say with any certainty in the transfer window, because I was quite confident we were going to get Kender, and then Chelsea just went, see you later, and outbid us for that one. So, until he's signed and in his shirt, I'm going to kind of reserve a little bit of judgment. But when you've got all the amount of noise that you have regarding Cunha, the fact that, people are saying that he loves United, we've had positive talks, and, it's Romano, it's Ornstein, it's all these sort of people kind of saying that this is plausible, then that one, for me, seems like that's going to be the most likely. And then with the striker situation, reading between the lines, it seems like Delap might be the preferred kind of option, whether that's to do with the budget, because at the moment, obviously, we don't know if we've got Champions League football, what our exact budget is. So are they looking at it and say, okay, well, we can get Cunha and Delap without having to do anything. That's our summer transfer budget done. And then the rest will depend on sales and exits and Champions League. But then if we get Champions League, maybe they'd be like, okay, well, maybe we can extend or stretch the budget a little bit to go and get Victor Osimhen, if we can do some kind of deal with his salary and stuff. But I think that's, reading between the lines, I think that's plausible, is that we've got a budget for And I'll say we've got £90 million just to make things simple. And then we know that £90 million is going to be Cunha and Delap because they fit within that kind of budget. So we're pushing hard for those deals. They're on number one and number two. And then because obviously we're in a position where we don't know what our budget's going to be. We don't know what sales we're going to get. We don't know what bids we're going to get for some of our other players potentially at this moment in time. But then, we're still talking to Osimhen and still talking to players like this, so that if we do get Champions League football, then maybe we do stretch the budget a little bit more and we go for someone like an Osimhen who might be seen as the better striker, and I would agree with that. But financially, we might not be able to do it, which is annoying, but that's where we are. And then obviously we've got to look at if Chelsea go in for Delap and he wants to go to Chelsea and we don't get European football, then where do we kind of go? So they are lining up a few deals. That's what I kind of think anyway, reading between the lines, but that's just my opinion. You can share yours in the comments below. I'm sure you will. So now Napoli also have a strong interest in Alejandro Garnacho, although that deal would have to be done separately so the Argentine winger could generate 100% profit as a homegrown player under profit and sustainability rules. So Chris Whelan, they've so in their piece also suggesting that Napoli are still interested in Alejandro Garnacho, but it wouldn't be involved as like a swap deal or some kind of sweetener for the Victor Osimhen kind of deal because of the homegrown kind of profit, which we've mentioned here before. And some of you have mentioned in the comments as well, that'll be a completely separate deal. So if Garnacho is to be sold and Napoli do want to buy Garnacho, it would have to be a straight sale because that's the way the kind of PSR rules work. So it wouldn't be like a swap deal involving Osimhen there. But again, interesting, more smoke to add to the fire of Garnacho in Napoli. I'm actually like, I think if we get Cunha, I'm happy. I'd be happy. Like, I want to keep Garnacho anyway, right? Because I think there's potential in Garnacho. I think he's being written off far too early because he's young, he's raw, he's frustrating, his decision making is not right. But he's still a young player, an inexperienced player. If he gets that decision making right, I think there's a player there, right? But I'm even more gutted if we this is going to sound weird. If we get Cunha, I'm even more gutted than if we sell Garnacho because I think Garnacho at the moment should be an impact sub, someone coming off the bench late in games to try and win us games, or to put the kind of fear into opponents. If like against Wolves, for example, when we're chasing a goal and it's 20 minutes left to go, if you've got Garnacho coming off the bench, then that can potentially make the difference as long as his decision-making kind of improves. But, I think I see him as a kind of more of an impact sub as well. And then he's got somebody to learn off as well with Matheus Cunha, who is, reading into the reports and stuff, is like a personality and someone that's kind of, got a bit about him off the pitch as well and behind the scenes. And then we're going to sell him when we do. You know what I mean, we don't. We improve the team, I think, with Cunha coming in because of his experience and his goals and stuff like that as well, right? But I think we weaken the squad by selling Garnacho because then you need to buy a backup. Because if Cunha gets injured, then who are you going to play in that kind of 10 position? So it's a bit of a weird one for me, but the finances might dictate that we have to. And maybe Garnacho wants to go because if we do get Cunha, maybe he wants to play every week. And if he's not going to be playing every week, then maybe he's like, well, I'd rather go actually, thank you, because I want to go and progress my career as well. So that can't be ruled out as well if he obviously wants to go. So yeah, that's my 10 pence worth on Garnacho, but you can share your thoughts in the comments below. Now, there's been loads more news regarding Mastantuono. So Sky have jumped on the news that I brought you the other day, saying that Manchester United and Chelsea are interested in signing 17-year-old attacking midfielder Franco Mastantuono. He has a release clause of around £38 million. So again, that's a similar story to what I brought you the other day regarding Mastantuono. So Sky are kind of saying that. Now, this is a South American journalist who apparently, I do not know the credibility personally myself, but who apparently is a tier 1 source for South American news. Take that as you will. I don't know that for certain, so that's what's being put out there. I don't know if that's correct or not. Not a journalist I've kind of come across before, but however, suggesting that Manchester United have shown the greatest interest in Franco Mastantuono with a view to his possible signing this summer. United are consistently following him and know the only way to sign him is by triggering his €45 million release clause, so the £38 million release clause as well. So again, that's come from apparently who is a tier 1 South American journalist, but we would say I can't confirm the credibility on that because I don't know it personally. 11 appearances this season, 3 goals, 2 assists, 17 years old. He's 18 mid-August. Transfer window closes on the 1st of September, I believe, this summer. Correct me if I'm wrong on that in the comments. So would be a deal that would be later on in the transfer window because we can't sign players from overseas until they're 18. because of that's the kind of Premier League rules or UEFA rules or whoever's rules it is, but then them's the rules. Left-footed, right winger, very, very talented. I was watching a few of his highlights and stuff yesterday as well. Looks a baller. Looks like someone that can kind of take players on. We know we want players 1v1. Very skillful, very good shot, very tidy passing as well. Looks a very talented player. You can see why teams are looking at this kid because he does look very, very good. Is that the same sort of fee? So I mentioned yesterday about Tyler Dibbling. Tyler Dibbling stories has gone a little bit quiet recently, but was that the same sort of price maybe you would pay for Tyler Dibbling? Is he better than Tyler Dibbling? I'm not, I don't know because he's not played in the Premier League as well, but the reports are that United maybe want to get 3 forwards if we get Champions League football. So Cunha and Delap, let's say hypothetically now are our 1 and 2 kind of options going off of today's news, and then maybe someone like Mastantuono is seen as maybe the 3rd choice and they're trying to get the deal done. Who knows? But, no smoke without fire regarding Mastantuono. And then the Mail have also said the same thing as well, that Man United are considering a move for Franco Mastantuono. So the Mastantuono noise is starting to kind of, accelerate and kind of increase as well. Still want to wait for a lot more credibility regarding it, but there's no smoke without fire. But the worry I have with Mastantuono is, are we being used to generate interest because we know Chelsea are interested in because they need young wingers, and that's my kind of fear. Are we being used by agent to generate interest, from other teams? But we'll keep an eye on it for you. Give us your thoughts on Mastantuono though in the comments. Now, possible developments in the coming weeks for Ederson to Manchester United. So Alfredo Badula has said that there's potentially some interesting or some updates coming about Ederson to Manchester United in the coming weeks. Now, Alfredo Badula has been quite credible in the past, not so much recently. He's a bit hit and miss at the moment, so we need to kind of keep an eye. Like if United do Osimhen, Cunha and Ederson, that's insane. I was watching I think it was Rio the other day with Owen Hargreaves, and they were exactly the 3 names that they mentioned on there as well. And that would be, insane. How we'll fund it, no idea, but don't care. Not my job to understand United's finances or where we're getting the money from. I will trust them to do the kind of financial things, within the kind of rules and stuff. They've got a lot of lawyers and a lot of people there to do that kind of role. But we'll need to keep an eye on what the news is. I mean, the news developments could be he's not signing, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Now, Ruben Amorim and Manchester United are very satisfied with Joshua Zirkzee's first season. They're planning to keep Zirkzee, even though he's attracted interest from elsewhere. So that's good. So Zirkzee looks like he's set to stay. Harry Maguire played a key role in helping Harry Amas settle into the first team dressing room, and he was among the first to publicly praise Fredriksson online following his debut. His impact has extended to all of the rising stars coming through the likes of Camerson and Morehouse, Scallon and Kakonki. And a source said he is a top bloke. He's one of the nicest people you could ever meet, and he's been invaluable to the kid. So I just wanted to share that around a few things behind the scenes regarding players. So it looks like Harry Maguire is quite an influential figure behind the scenes. Nice to see him getting involved, helping the kids integrate and settle and stuff like that as well. And sometimes there is value to having players like that as well. That's why I wasn't against keeping Johnny Evans last season, because sometimes doing things like that behind the scenes are invaluable. Tom Heaton's been very, very good at doing that. He's never played. He's not kicked a ball hardly for us as a 3rd choice keeper, but apparently he's very good behind the scenes like that at helping the young players and helping players kind of come through as well. So there is value, I think, for that. But I wanted to share that because I thought it was a nice kind of behind the scenes look at Harry Maguire's personality and stuff as well. And it shows a bit of his leadership qualities as well behind the scenes. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments. Give us your thoughts on all the other topics discussed in today's video, because that's you all up to date with the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. See you in the next one.